Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Just not cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
All right. Welcome back. It's time for Toker Talk Radio. You got a joint on you? It'd be a lot cooler if you did. Somebody watched Dazed and Confused on cable last night, and it's this guy right here. Glad to have you here. We are just talking about the Portland Weed Week. We got Corey Ray in the studio. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Also, want to remind you that our phone lines are open here at 650-LEGAL-MJ. That's 650-534-2565. But before we get to the Weed Week, a quick update on somebody who is very near and dear to the Russ Belville Show, and that's Anita Thompson, the widow of Dr. Hunter S. Thompson. And there's a great report in the Cannabis today about Hunter S. Thompson weed. That's right. We could soon be looking at Gonzo brand marijuana, the official marijuana of Hunter S. Thompson. The news here, reported by Katie Shapiro, has to do with how Anita Thompson has just last June, closed a legal trust for the Woody Creek compound, Owl Farm, where Hunter Thompson lived. And that gives her full control over Owl Farm, as well as the ownership rights to the Gonzo logo and Hunter Thompson's likeness. This is fantastic news because Anita Thompson is a wonderful woman, and she absolutely, there'd been some fight with some of the children and other people that had some interest in Hunter's legacy and estate. It looks like that's finally all cleared up, and now Anita Thompson has full control over the Gonzo logo. Now, what they're looking at doing, they're going to also include a private Hunter Thompson museum. They're talking about opening this in late 2017. But the big news coming out is this Gonzo brand of cannabis that will be sold in the recreational dispensaries in Colorado. Now, Anita Thompson has hosted the normal Aspen Legal Seminar cookout party there at Owl Farm for years now, since 2007. I've been fortunate enough to go to 5 of those cookouts, and I got to tell you, if that's where the museum's going to be, it is just going to be incredible. What an amazing sight this will be. But according to the Aspen Times report, Anita has been fending off offers from people to make a Gonzo or a Hunter Thompson brand of cannabis. But she says she's now working with a cannabis company because she has saved 6 different strains from Hunter Thompson's actual stash. She saved 6 strains, and she's working with a cannabis company now to either create clones of those strains or hybrids of those strains to make the Gonzo brand. And she says, quote, "I was always steering toward his work and away from his lifestyle, but now I feel like I can talk more openly about his lifestyle. I'm proud to do it now. Before, it was a little too risky. I'm looking forward to being a drug lord." End quote. So she has found DNA from Hunter's personal marijuana and hashish strains that Anita says she's been saving for 12 to 15 years. According to a Facebook post, she says, quote, "I am in the process of making the strains available legally to those who would like to enjoy the authentic Gonzo strains in the legal states. And although the drug lord phrase is silly, as it doesn't match my personality, I'm looking forward to making the authentic strains available in legal states to support the farm and the scholarships. Thank you for keeping Hunter's legacy alive in your libraries and in your hearts. Love, Anita T. Oh boy, folks, looking forward to that. I can't wait to get some Gonzo strains. I don't know if it'll make me any better a writer. I can only hope, right? All right, stay tuned. We're back live here at Delta 9 Studios with Corey Ray from the Portland Weed Week. It's starting this Wednesday, running through Sunday. Tickets are available now at portlandweedweek.com. $99 general admission for all 5 days, or $199 for the VIP package. We'll talk more about that and the Taste of Terps Festival.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Legal to listen to all over the world. We're just not sure about France. CannabisRadio.com.
Great websites today need expert web design and development and need to be e-commerce ready and mobile friendly. But building a marketable and profitable website can be an uphill climb. Ready to make your new website or replace your existing website? Think Orange as the new way to get in the black. Orange Hill Development works with Fortune 500 companies and offer the same top quality development service at a fraction of what other providers charge. Brands like Absolute, Carlsberg, and Nestea trust Orange Hill Development. Find out why you should trust your website with Orange Hill. Contact Orange Hill for a consultation today at orangehilldevelopment.com. Doc Rob, the concierge for better living.
Cannabis is just one of the many great plants that we have on this planet called Earth that we can use consciously and intelligently to improve our well-being.
Take a real, raw, inside look at healthier living while sharing great ideas and improvements for a better quality of life.
Learning to live and live well is a lifelong process. This is a journey. You could be 80 years old or 8 years old. You can still learn something that's going to make tomorrow a little bit healthier, a little bit easier, a little bit happier, a little bit better.
The concierge for better living with Doc Rob. Only on CannabisRadio.com.
Marijuana is not addictive, but listening to the Russ Belville Show is.
New beginner guitars and banjos are often constructed much better than ones built before your time. Why struggle? Get a new instrument or fix the old one. The trusted professionals at the Fingerboard Extension will evaluate your instrument for free. Repairs are priced for people who work for a living. Stop by the Fingerboard Extension downtown Corvallis at 120 Northwest 2nd Street today, or check out its inventory on the web at fingerboardextension.com.
And Blue Blasten Gergen, Pfaffen der Blasten Schnurb Norben. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Just about 9 after the hour, and we're talking about Portland Weed Week. You can find out all about it at pdxweedweek.com. Starts this Wednesday, runs through Sunday, and the executive director's here in studio with us, Corey Ray. Welcome back, Corey.
Thank you for having me again.
So we were talking about the seminars that take place on Thursday and Friday. Tons of those. We'll get back to them in a second, but I don't want to leave the weekend out because the weekend looks awesome. Saturday, you've got something called the Taste of Terps Festival. What's going on there?
So it is what it sounds like, right? We've got a bunch of different vendors, some of Oregon's finest from around the state, who are going to be showcasing some of their products. So from concentrates to edibles to some of the finest flower. I know, again, TJ's Gardens, High Times said they had the finest tasting cannabis on earth with their TJ's Durban Poison. And so they're the presenting sponsor of PDX Weed Week, and they'll be there showcasing some of their products. And so a bunch of different other vendors will be there as well, showcasing, just having a good time and reaching out to the consumers and showing appreciation for them as well.
Now, for the beginners out there, the new listeners, you might not know what terps are. We're talking about terpenes. You know, when we talk about cannabis plants, we often talk about THC. How potent is it? And then a lot of people now know about CBD, which, you know, helps the epileptic kids. And there's a bunch of other cannabinoids out there, but there are also terpenes, and they're not found just in cannabis plants. They're found in all sorts of plants. There's a terpene called limonene, which is found in citrus plants. Pinene, you find it in pine needles. Linalool. Myrcene is found in hops. So is this going to be kind of emphasizing these different, you know, terpene profiles?
Exactly. One thing that TJ's was recognized for was not necessarily, you know, these buds having the highest THC content, because that's not what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's about their complete terpene profile. So, you know, having a complete profile will bring out different effects of the cannabis, will bring out different features of the cannabis, from taste to smell. And so that's what it's really about in today's new cannabis environment, where people are, you know, there's artisan bud out there where people are really growing it in particular ways to bring out particular, you know, phenotypes. There are people who are connoisseurs out there who are looking for, you know, OGs or haze and they Girl Scout cookies, and they really know what they're looking for. You would be amazed. Some people hear it and they say, oh, you know, and then kind of, you know, gawk and laugh. No, there are really connoisseurs out there who can really nail this stuff. And so it's becoming a real, I don't want to say, you know, insiders, you know, perspective, but really the terpenes is, my prediction for 2017 is that'll be your word in the cannabis space. Terpenes.
I agree. We just, I just researched an article where I was getting into the difference between indica and sativa. And typically people think, well, indica is into couch. You're couch locked. It's the body high. And then sativa is more the head high. But as I did this research, there's some results now showing that myrcene, one of the terpenes, myrcene, the one they found in hops, if it's above 0.4%, it changes THC from a head high to a body high. So it just so happens most of the indicas have more myrcene. But it could be that it's the myrcene causing the indica than the indica itself. Fascinating stuff.
Sure, and these terpenes are, you know, housed in the trichomes,
in
the trichome development. And so what's happening is a lot of people who are, you know, growing indicas, they don't want to, or excuse me, the sativas, they don't want to wait the entire cycle. You know, they're impatient. They won't take it, you know, the entire cycle. And so they might be, you know, cropping or harvesting a little bit early. And with the indicas, you know, it's perfect. It's right in their wheelhouse. They can take it in its complete cycle. And so they might be, you know, harvesting it maybe just on the back end. And so what you see when a more ripe trichome is maybe that more, you know, couch lock effect. And so that's why a lot of people might associate an indica with a couch lock effect, is because they're taking it through its complete cycle. Whereas a sativa, you know, they're harvesting it more at its, you know, more, when it's more ripe, when it a little bit early, because a lot of people don't want to take it a full 10 weeks or whatever the harvest cycle is for that particular strain. And so they're then generating the trichomes a little bit early, and it's getting you this more, you know, sativa-like effect, if you will. So there's so much, you know, and really what's in those trichomes are these, you know, the development of these terpenes, these different ones that you described, which you nailed off the bat. My speech on that.
I forgot beta caryophyllene.
There you go. Right?
That's the only one I think I forgot. But
I got pining down.
It's an amazing, and I think you're right. I think in the future what we're going to see is packaging and labeling that explains terpene contents, because that's going to give us a better overall idea of what something's going to do, especially when you recognize that something called, say, Durban poison may or may not be Durban poison.
Exactly. And so to get back to PDX Weed Week, one of the sponsors is Phylos Bioscience, and they're going to be presenting, you know, cannabis DNA testing. And one thing that we're going to find out here in the future, not so distant future, is going to be that people's credibility is going to be won or lost on these DNA tests. We're going to be able to find out what these clones are, what these seeds are, what exactly the lineage of these particular plants are long before. So if somebody's calling it Durban poison, we're going to, as consumers, demand that we see the Phylos Bioscience report saying that it is Durban poison.
I'm so looking forward to that, because, you know, my old line, I'm from Idaho, where we had 2 strains, got some and don't.
Exactly.
Those days are over, man. We're gonna be much more picky consumers, I think, as the future rolls on. Now, looking at Sunday, December 4th, Higher Consciousness Yoga. What's up with that?
That's right. So at Slabtown Cannabis Proprietors here in Portland, they're going to be, you know, they're part of the Weed Week events, and we just got some yoga going on where people can, go get an early morning stretch in, get some exercise in with some like-minded people, enjoy an experience, have a good time. It's Sunday morning, so it's a good way to, start your Sunday, get off to a good week. And then later in the day, we've got the PDX Weed Week Exhibitors Fair, where we'll have, a bunch of, I think about 30 different vendors showcasing, anything from growing technology. Of course, we got samples there. It's free. That's why it's free.
Oh, that's why it's free. Yes.
Got to be cognizant of the laws here. But and we also got Pitch Fest going on. So people who have a cannabis idea, business idea, they'll have a chance to pitch the ladies of the marijuana show.
Oh, I'm glad they're there.
Yeah, exactly. And so what they'll end up doing is they'll kind of be filtering through the best ideas, and the top 4 or 5 best ideas will go on to pitch a company called Acro Capital based out of San Francisco, who just started a cannabis incubator called Cannivator.
Okay.
And so they'll be awarding people seed money. So if it's an idea, it doesn't have to be developed, just an idea. And they'll be awarding people up to $50,000 and access into their accelerator with resources like, mentorship, leadership, things like that.
So is the Pitch Fest part of the free Cannabis Classic, or is that?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Absolutely.
great. So starting at noon Sunday, you got the Cannabis Classic Exhibitors Fair. The Pitch Fest is at 2:30. The Holiday Harvest Cup Awards Show is at 7. So from noon on, it's free.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Otherwise, if you want to do the stuff like the yoga on Sunday or everything from Saturday on back, you need that $99 general admission ticket.
Exactly. So you want to go to the seminars, you want to go to the Taste of Terps Festival, you want to do some of these other activities such as the beer tasting, things like that. Definitely get an all-access pass. But if you just, Sunday is the day you want to go, you want to see the exhibitors, you want to enjoy the award show, it's absolutely free. It's on the house thanks to TJ's Gardens. They're underwriting this entire event. So we really appreciate their support.
Now, this is this is pretty phenomenal because, I do events all over the country, been doing this for over a decade. This is the first time I've seen a multiple event kind of week been put together. Are you planning on doing this in any other locations?
Yeah, that's our intention to bring it to other locations. To really what we're looking to do is bring the cannabis community together to share information, insights, and ideas through education, experiences, and entertainment. And so we have the education, right, for education. We've got the social events for entertainment, and we're bringing in the thought leaders who can share their experience.
Yeah,
it's really events like this and getting to network with people that is kind of the momentum generator that puts you above the.
I love it, and for so many people out there that are listening in the non-legal states, they want to fly in, they want to visit, they want to see something like this. But when they look online at some of the events, number one, it's one event. And number two, it's like you said, $300 to $600 just to get into the damn thing.
Yeah.
That's going to, once you throw a flight and hotels on top of that, you're over $1,000.
Yeah, exactly. Airfare is not cheap. Rental cars aren't cheap. Staying in hotels isn't cheap. And so what we try to do is we try to make our ticket the least expensive as possible. If we could, we would have found sponsors to underwrite the entire event and just made everything free. And that's our long-term goal. Right now, we just weren't as good as our jobs to get sponsors, I suppose.
Well, it's still early. We still have the marijuana industry needs to build.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that point, I think, easily.
Yeah, and then hopefully it'll be free for everybody, and then we'll be able to come enjoy communities like Portland, come enjoy communities like San Diego or Anchorage, Alaska, or some of these more communities that are more open to having cannabis events such as this.
It's Portland Weed Week. You can find out more at pdxweedweek.com, pdxweedweek.com. Give you all the information. General admission $99, VIP $199, gets you into the Wednesday VIP infused dinner. Looking forward to that. And then this beer tasting, that's not a VIP thing. That's just general admission thing?
That's right. So, people can come, check that out. You do have to have a pass to listen to the talk. Which is by Elon from Coalition Brewery. But at 5 o'clock, the beer tasting's open to everybody. They're launching their CBD-infused beer. So it's going to be a great event for anybody who, is curious about cannabis and curious about really the future of beer. I know it's a huge market, whether it's cocktails, whether it's craft beer, infused beer. They're kind of made for one another. And so you'll see, here in the future, a lot more breweries experimenting, but this is the first. I don't know of another brewery in Portland that's got a craft or a CBD infused beer. And I think it's hemp CBD, but still,
we'll take it. That's fantastic. Corey Ray from PDX Weed Week, and of course the Northwest Cannabis Classic. That's happening on Sunday as part of the Weed Week. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, I know what that sound means.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery wrapped in a riddle inside an enigma.
No, it's not. It's clearly 420 here in beautiful legal Potland, Oregon. Corey, I don't know if you know this, but under union rules, we're required to take a safety briefing right now.
Sounds amazing.
All right, let's get safe. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stick around.
Play as Ted Growing, expelled botany sophomore and the biggest grower in town, only on Weed Firm Replanted. Available on the App Store and Google Play.
It's a lot of work being the biggest grower in town. Maintaining a room full of plants while dealing with a slew of eccentric customers? From a hardcore partier to the curious neighbor next door.
Is anybody home?
Help me expand my bud business by unlocking new strains, customizing my grow room, and completing challenges that you can't get enough of. Grow your empire so big you can see it from space. Low on funds? Don't worry. Weed Firm Replanted is free to download.
Download Weed Firm Replanted for free on the App Store and Google Play today. Get growing, Mr. Growing.
Being green is good. Growing green is good. Making green is great. CannabisRadio.com.
It's time for Cannabis Facts about Alzheimer's from Robert Platshorn's thesilvertour.org. This message is supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com. A new Florida study in the journal Molecular and Cellular Neuroscience found that cannabis promotes the growth of healthy new brain tissue. It can slow the effects of Alzheimer's and may in fact be able to halt it entirely. A long-term study by Ohio State University's Professor Gary Wenk concludes that people who regularly use marijuana get Alzheimer's at a much lower rate than others. This was Cannabis Facts from thesilvertour.org, an educational nonprofit supported by our donors and Hemp Inc., a public company poised to lead America's hemp revolution at hempinc.com.
The Russ Belville Show, providing dictionaries to drug czars since 2009.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com.
Tommy Chong is ready to cut through the smoke and change the tone of Tilk Radio.
All you have to do is decriminalize. We don't need a government regulation to tell us this is good pot, that's bad pot. We don't need any of that.
The Tommy Chong Podcast, only on CannabisRadio.com.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it and didn't inhale.
One major responsibility is to encourage people to use less drugs.
Entirely legitimate topic for debate.
Radical Rant.
All right, today in the Radical Rant, I want to talk about our democracy and why is it that some of the lawmakers in some of our states don't understand how this works. That is to say, we're legal in 8 states now. We just passed legalization in 4 more states, and these some of these lawmakers just don't like it. They don't like the idea that we might not be subject to going to prison or going to jail or getting fined. And they're trying right now in many ways to subvert what we have passed in our marijuana legalization. Particularly, we're looking at the state of Massachusetts. There in Massachusetts, the voters passed. It was a 54-46, so an 8-point victory. They passed question 4. And what this allows is the right of people to grow their own marijuana. But now we're getting reports that the legislature in Massachusetts might want to delay the legality of home grow or eliminate it altogether. Now, December 15th is when it becomes legal under question 4, which was passed by 1.7 million voters. It becomes legal to possess marijuana, it becomes legal to smoke marijuana, and it becomes legal to cultivate marijuana up to 12 plants. But the legislators there are wanting to delay the implementation of the legality of home grow. And the reasoning they're giving is that they feel they don't have enough time to come up with regulations to ensure the public safety if they allow people to legally home grow. Now, to me, that's a pretty lousy excuse. It sounds to me what they're really interested in here is delaying the implementation of home grow long enough until they can get the pot shops set up. And then they'll come back later and say, well, if we got pot shops, why do we need to allow people to home grow? This is the Boston Globe reported on this, and they have said that the individual home grow is a problem because of that recent 60 Minutes report, that 60 Minutes show where the sheriffs in Colorado were saying, oh, they're using home grow to illegally grow marijuana and ship it out of state and make a bunch of money, undercut the taxes and so forth. So that's their excuse in Massachusetts to want to delay or to even eliminate the possibility of home grow. And unfortunately, they have the power to be able to do this. Massachusetts question 4 is a statute, not a constitutional amendment. In Colorado, it's a constitutional amendment. You have a constitutional right to home grow. But Massachusetts is just a statute, and that means the legislature can amend or abolish it. This would be a huge mistake if they were to do so, given that, again, 54% of the people voted for this, and the point of marijuana legalization was to end the caging of people over a plant. That includes growing that plant. Another thing that they're looking at is the taxes in Massachusetts. The taxes they set up under question 4 are the lowest taxes of any state that has marijuana legalization. If you add in the state, the local, and the sales taxes, it works out to 6%. It's like 6% altogether. And the express purpose of this was to prevent marijuana from being taxed so much that the black market could then undercut it. The unregulated market could sell at less than that and still make a profit. This is where I can't even follow the internal logic of these people. Even if I give them the benefit of the doubt that they're being honest about their reasoning, it doesn't make sense internally. You can't come at me in the first case and say, oh, we're worried about home grow. We can't have home grow because that home grow fuels the unregulated market. And then come at me in the second case and say, oh, well, we don't want to have the taxes so low. We want to increase those taxes, which is something that would fuel the unregulated market. Like, you can't convince me you're concerned about the unregulated market when you want to double the taxes. That's what they're talking about, doubling the taxes. And the reason they're talking about doubling the taxes is they say this seems out of whack with Colorado and Washington, where effective tax rates range from 25% to 44%. Yeah, and that's where in Colorado, you were just talking about the sheriff who said people were home growing to undercut the market. These people are so out of touch. I mean, marijuana is such a powerful drug, it causes the people that don't smoke it to go nutty. It's just unbelievable. And the third thing they were talking about in Massachusetts, under the question 4, you have to have a vote of the people to ban marijuana licenses. And they can do it. You can ban pot shops. You can ban commercial grows. You can ban commercial processors and testers. But you got to get the people to vote on it. Well, the Massachusetts legislators think it's backwards. They think instead of it being legal until it's banned, it should be banned until it's legal. They want to flip it. They want to make it so that all licenses are banned until there's a vote of the people that specifies that they want to opt in, that they want to have marijuana licenses. Well, look, Beacon Hill, we already had that vote on November 8th. It was called Question 4, and it was statewide, should there be the right to have these licenses? And the people, 1.7 million of them, 54% of them, said yes. Why do these legislators, when it comes to marijuana, do they not understand what the will of the people is? They did the same thing here in Oregon. We passed our Measure 91 with 56% of the vote. And it said, if you want to ban marijuana licenses, you got to have a vote of the people. And here in Oregon, our legislature said, oh, well, yeah, but, you know, those Eastern Oregon counties, they really, 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 really hate pot, so they shouldn't have to vote. Because we know they're going to ban them anyway. Because they already voted against it in the general election. Yeah, that was the excuse they gave us. They took a look at the county-by-county results in a statewide election. And they said, well, these counties voted more than 55% against the measure, so they shouldn't have to have another vote. That was their idea. These counties already voted against it in the statewide election. Folks, it wasn't a county-by-county election. It was a statewide election. Does that mean anything anymore? Hell, if we're going to have elections statewide that only apply county by county, then there's going to be a whole bunch of counties in Oregon that are going to go back to banning gay marriage. There's going to be a whole bunch of counties in Oregon that are going to let you pump your own gas. And all sorts of things. I mean, imagine if our federal system worked that way. Yep, there's this federal Supreme Court decision that says gay marriage is legal and abortion is legal and all these other things are legal. But heck, if your county doesn't like it, you can go ahead and ban it. I'm sorry, that's not the way it works. Now, it's not just the legal states where this is happening either. It's also happening in Florida. In Florida, they're talking about, they just passed medical marijuana there with 71% of the vote. It goes into effect January 3rd. And you qualify for medical marijuana if you are on the condition list, which includes, Parkinson's, PTSD, epilepsy, glaucoma, a bunch of conditions, right? So when will this medical marijuana program kick off? Well, according to one doctor in Jupiter, Florida, he says, I think it's going to be at least 9 months to a year before medical marijuana becomes widely available. Now, I understand that it takes a while to put together regulations for a program and such, but Florida already has CBD medical marijuana since 2014. Florida already had a vote on medical in 2014 that came damn close to passing, and everybody has known for the past 2 years that Florida was going to vote again on it, and it was likely to pass. And we've already got 27 other states, 24 other states with working medical marijuana programs at this point. I'm less accepting of this excuse of, we just don't know how we'll work out the regulations when you got more than 20 examples to pick from. It's okay to cut and paste. It's okay. You can copy stuff from Oregon's law if you like. You can copy stuff from Maryland's law if you like. You can copy stuff from Minnesota's law if you like, whatever. Don't give me this, we don't know how to come up with the regulations. It ain't 1996 anymore. This has already been worked out in lots and lots of states. They're saying they got to write rules on who is and who isn't allowed to grow marijuana, where the dispensaries can be opened, licensing, and so forth. And, of course, the regulators out there that hate pot are also looking at ways that they can thwart this medical marijuana. Now, it is a constitutional amendment, so it's not subject to being repealed or amended. But the regulations, the rules within, there's a lot of leeway for them to pull some shenanigans. For example, they're talking about the possibility of banning candy-like edibles. You know, the no gummy bears rule. They're looking at maybe potency limits. Set a potency limit on flour at 15% and on concentrates at 70%. They might implement tight regulations on who can actually recommend. And, you know, set things up like, well, if you recommend for more than 25 patients a year, there's a medical board audit, or other things that are meant to dissuade physicians from recommending cannabis. And this is something we're seeing not just in Florida, we're seeing it in every state that tackles this. We hear about Chris Christie in New Jersey, who has done so much to stand in the way of getting medical marijuana to patients out there. It's time for these legislators to recognize they're on the wrong side of history, and that the people aren't looking to be protected from marijuana anymore. They're looking to be protected from the governments that punish them for it. We're long past the time when we should still be having this argument. 20 years now, we've had medical marijuana laws in effect in the United States, from California's Prop 215 on. We're at a point where 1 out of 5 Americans lives in a legal marijuana state, and another 2 out of 5 Americans lives in a medical marijuana state. People that live where marijuana is absolutely prohibited are a vast shrinking minority at this point. And politicians, how can you not get your head around 89% national support for medical marijuana and 60% national support for legalized marijuana? You know, it makes some of us cynical people think that maybe you care more about the pharmaceutical industry, the alcohol industry, timber, oil, and a bunch of other high dollar donors than you care about the people. Of course, that would be if I were cynical or something. All right, stay tuned. We're going to come back and talk more about the hurdles we need to overcome with legal marijuana.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
Cannabis use isn't the only thing growing. So are we. Grow with us. CannabisRadio.com.
Oh, let the marijuana llama tell you something now about a game for your phone gonna make you say, wow! The game's about the game of growing cannabis for cash. Grow the seed, sell the bud, put the savings in the stash. Little by little, your empire grows large. Put the big celebrities inside your entourage. You can choose to play with Snoop or me or Cheech and Chong, Cypress Hill, Willie Nelson, Wiz Khalifa with a bong. The name of the game is Hemp Inc., that's the point. Download and play while you light yourself a joint. The business of cannabis should be no crime. Hemp Inc. is even hot-proofed by the man who run High Times. Oh yeah? Get it on Android and iOS today. Marijuana llama out. Got to tend to me own crops, you know. Money don't make itself. Hemp Inc.
You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
The Russ Belville Show is proudly sponsored by the Marijuana Business Association. The MJBA, called by NBC News the Cannabis Chamber of Commerce, is the fastest growing business association in the fastest growing industry in America. I've been working with the MJBA for years, and I personally invite you to join the MJBA. MJBA also publishes the popular MJ Headline News on Facebook and the MJNewsNetwork.com and Marijuana Channel 1 on YouTube. Visit mjba.net for more details.
Warning, hits taken on this show are larger than they appear. Do not try this at home. These people are professionals. Or at least they pay me to say that. This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome back, everybody. 39 after the hour. Shout out to the folks in the chat room. Roland Reverend, I see Kenneth out there, Jerry, Kathy, and a bunch of others. If you haven't been into our chat room, you ought to get there. A lot of good folks there. And they can also oftentimes give you the information that, if I mention a website or something, they can type it up in there, and it's a lot easier to get to it. Also, we got a live phone line open at 650-LEGAL-MJ. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, or topics, anything you want to know, I'm here to tell you about it. I like what Kenneth was saying in there. Radical Russ, he does the research so you don't have to. Yeah, that might be something we put on a t-shirt someday. 2017, I'm looking to do a whole bunch more merchandising and, take after my friend Coral Reefer. She's got that Stony Sunday shirt. She does good business in that. And I think my shirt's going to say, I look shit up. If I wanted to be really nasty, I'd say, don't fuck with me, I look shit up. But I don't think that's going to be it. I don't think I could sell too many of those. But something along those lines. We'll get that out for you as soon as we can. Get the website updated and all that. But, I've been hella busy, folks. In fact, speaking of busy, just a quick program note that we'll have shows today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, but no show Thursday or Friday because I'll be out there at the Portland Weed Week emceeing the various topics that are going on, the panels that are going on. So no live shows on Thursday or Friday. And that begins a long stretch of no live shows, as a matter of fact, because the next 2 weeks, week of December 5th, week of December 12th, I'm on vacation. I will be in Jamaica, man. That's right. I'm actually going on a vacation. Now, I travel a lot. I've done over 100,000 air miles this year, at least 39 events, I think, in that list. I travel a lot, but it's all work travel, right? Like, I can tell you what the places are, like what the hotels are in the places I go and some of the monuments that I might get to see, but mostly it's the inside of hotels. So I while I travel a lot, I don't really see a lot of the cities or places that I go to. And this will be my first travel vacation without a marijuana gig or a show or a presentation in at least 4 years, maybe more than that, but a long time. So yep, I finally, I've been saving all year so I could get the flight to Jamaica, got that taken care of. And I got friends that vacation there that I'll be meeting out there. So they've already got events planned and a lot of the food and lodging covered. So it actually is a much cheaper vacation than you might expect, which actually you might expect it. There's not a ton of money in being a cannabis radio host, but it's a good job if you can get it. Let me tell you, it's a lot of fun. All right. So, yeah, we'll be off for a couple weeks. So after Wednesday, my next week back on the air will be December 19th. So mark that down. December 19th, I'll be back. And then the following 2 weeks after that, there's no Monday shows because it'll be Christmas Day. Well, Boxing Day technically, but the federal holiday for Christmas Day follows on a Monday, as does New Year's Day. So there's your program updates for the Russ Belville Show. I know a lot of you listen daily and want to make sure you're not listening to our rerun. But, yeah, I'll be gone for, that's 13 shows starting Thursday. All right, last topic for the day I wanted to cover has to do with an Associated Press story that's out. And it's called 5 Challenges Facing States That Wade into Marijuana Legalization. And to me, it's kind of interesting, the framing of this as this being a challenge, right? So the first challenge they list is eliminating the black market. Eliminating the black market. They say the black market for pot does not go away just because the drug is legal under certain circumstances. States facing a shifting marijuana regime want to eliminate corner drug dealers and keep drug cartels out of the legal drug game. To do that, governments need to set tax rates that are high enough to cover regulatory costs, but not so high that drug dealers decide to stay in the shadows where they go untaxed and unregulated. The current marijuana states tax pot at about 30% or more. The result is a nagging black market problem, so new marijuana states may consider a different approach. Well, look, whenever they talk about getting rid of the unregulated market, I always like to remind people there's an unregulated market in everything that is regulated. Everything that's regulated has an unregulated market to it. For instance, maybe you got a friend that grows tomatoes in his backyard, and you go over to his house one day and he says, man, I got a lot of tomatoes. I can give you a dozen of these tomatoes for $1. You'd be like, hey, I'll take a dozen tomatoes for $1. Homegrown, garden tomatoes, sure. Well, that's unregulated market. You just broke the law. That's not legal, right? And there's all sorts of instances. I mean, you got pirated DVDs, you got knockoff handbags. There's all sorts of things that have an unregulated market. And to me, this idea that there's a sweet spot they want to hit, right? They want to hit this sweet spot, like they said, where the tax is high enough to make money to cover the costs, low enough that it's not profitable to try to undercut it. And I just think this isn't something that's going to. What the hell? Sorry, having some problems here in the studio. Something came unplugged or something, and I'm having trouble hearing right now. So anyway, sorry for the problem. I'm freaking out a little bit here in Delta 9. But anyway, there's always going to be an unregulated market. And to me, it's not the job of legalization to get rid of the unregulated market. That's the job of the taxing and the tax business and all that. But whether or not we pass legalization, its job is just to stop punishing people for pot. As we go on in this unfolding legality, I sure hope people keep that in mind. The taxes are nice, the money is nice, the businesses are nice, the jobs are nice. This is all great. But the main point of legalization is that it's wrong to punish people for marijuana. So if we pass legalization and it leaves this unregulated market, and then you're then punishing the people in this unregulated market, then you're failing at the job of legalization. Eliminating the unregulated market isn't because we hate that commerce. It's because it leaves people getting busted for weed. That's the reason we need to keep those taxes low. And I'd love to see Massachusetts move forward with its low taxation rate to see if indeed that low a tax down to, just 6% total can still keep a functioning regulatory scheme. Because I know what we're doing here in Oregon with 20%, what we're doing in Washington with 37%, and what California's going to have 15% plus a whole bunch at the local level is not tenable. And especially as the price of weed craters. I'm telling you, folks, a year from now, with California moving up with production and that hitting the market, we are going to see a crash in weed prices. And when that weed price gets super low, let's say that weed, the production cost of weed gets down to $10 an ounce. And I'm not being hyperbolic here. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about a few bucks to produce weed. If you try slapping on enormous taxes on that, people are going to know, hey, I'm not going to pay $50 an ounce for something I know that cost you $10 to grow. We shall see how this works out, but that's one of the concerns they have. Another concern, they say, for the legalization states is keeping pot away from kids. There's this thought, and we've pushed it a lot, that we want to legalize marijuana because drug dealers don't check ID, that we want to keep weed away from kids. But under the legalized marijuana, don't expect the access to marijuana to drop much for kids. We're seeing them accessing it at about the same rates they accessed it before, because kids have always had a channel to be able to get weed through, usually from other kids. The extent to which we keep weed away from kids is the extent to which we make unregulated dealing unprofitable. Have you ever seen a high school tequila dealer? It's not that high school kids don't drink tequila. It's that nobody could make money dealing tequila. It wouldn't be worth the effort. So again, keeping those pot taxes low and keeping the price low is the best possible way to keep the weed out of the hands of the kids. Because there's always going to be teenage weed dealers, but how much they deal, how often they deal, and how many of them there are is a function of how profitable it is. Make it unprofitable to try to beat that tax, you'll have fewer kids getting access to weed. Another concern listed in this AP story is the need to keep the highways safe. It says states that have legalized pot have seen more drivers arrested for driving high. That's not entirely true. There was a decline in Colorado DUIs, actually. But overall traffic safety and fatality rates in those states have dropped or remained flat. Now, yes, the driving thing is something that's of concern to everyone, but I always remind folks that legalization didn't invent cars and weed. Most people that smoke weed don't do so and then get behind the wheel. Most people that smoke weed, it's something they do after work, on their own time, after the kids have gone to bed, whatever. Most people that smoke weed, it's an end-of-day thing, and they're not planning to do something afterwards. But there are some of us who are the types who may be smoking weed all day as part of their regular lifestyle. And that might include driving. And those people already exist and have already been smoking and driving, and we haven't seen any sort of massive traffic fatality problems because of that. Now, one of the responses I get back from people is, yeah, Russ, but it's different under legalization, because when it was illegal, the pothead was afraid of getting caught with the weed, so they'd drive more careful and they'd hide their weed. Whereas now, when it's legal, they don't feel like they have to hide it and they won't drive as careful? No, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I think, first of all, this fright of how impairing marijuana may be is way overblown. Now, at the newbie level, I will concede that someone's a newbie, smokes a joint, probably shouldn't get behind the wheel. But THC has, people that use THC have the ability to develop a tolerance to it. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration even admits to this, has admitted to it since the 90s. The bottle of Marinol, the synthetic THC that's Schedule 3 and legal for doctors in all 50 states to prescribe, the bottle of Marinol has a warning on it that says, until you understand how Marinol may affect you, do not drive or operate heavy machinery. Which suggests to me that once you do understand how Marinol may affect you, go right ahead, get behind the wheel. Because we know heavy, consistent users of cannabis can develop a tolerance to its impairing effects. So yeah, we don't want to see the stats go up for impaired driving or fatalities, and they haven't. We'll talk about the other two things that they're concerned about in this AP story when we wrap up right after this break.
This is the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
We don't limit how much you smoke, and we don't limit where you listen. Cannabis Radio is now on iTunes, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio.
The cannabis industry is growing, business is booming, and as new opportunities arise in newly legalized states, each market is getting more competitive. Today, it takes more than just being a good grower. Do you have the resources to market and handle this ever-changing business landscape? Let Canna Management Corporation help you grow your canna business with our vast resources and experience to make your business a fully functional service company. Financial management, HR, sales, marketing, efficiency, and more. CMC has the experience and the expertise to improve your business and help you better meet the demands of your clients and customers. Call Canna Management Corporation and let our team get you ready to grow. 415-269-8015. That's 415-269-8015. Or visit canna-management.com.
NORMAL stands for Responsible Adult Cannabis Use. If cannabis use is causing problems in your life, consider taking a break or seeking medical assistance. Consider ceasing cannabis use if you have a family history of mental illness. Don't drive or operate heavy machinery while impaired by cannabis use. Cannabis use is not without risks, even though the risks are far less than those posed by legal drugs.
You're not high. You're listening to the Russ Belville Show on CannabisRadio.com.
The Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment.
Okay, Maybe you're high, too.
At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of the Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio.
Yar! Thar be pirates here! Har, 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 har. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation, only on CannabisRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. As we close things up here from Delta 9 Studios, we check out the chat room. A lot of folks talking about marijuana prices. And yeah, I'm telling you, legalization is going to crash the price of weed. It already has. Uncle Ike's up in Seattle is selling what they call farm cut budget buds. $99 an ounce, folks. 99 bucks an ounce. Now, it's not your top shelf weed. A little leaf heavy, a little harsh. Better than what you can get in most of the red states, though, and it's 99 bucks an ounce. And the story goes on to talk about the studies that have shown under legalization in Canada, we're talking about Canadian legalization, under national legalization in Canada, they may get their weed down to $5 a gram. That's already what they're selling the low-end marijuana for in the medical market there in Canada. $5 a gram. I think it can get cheaper than that. The RAND report in 2010, when California was looking at Prop 19, RAND Corporation did a survey on this, did a study on this, and found that the price of legal weed in California alone could get down to $38 an ounce. Yeah, $38 an ounce. Like, what is that, $1.05 a gram, $1.10 a gram, something like that? Now, even with taxes, even with tariffs and all the things, excises they might, not tariffs, excises that they might throw onto weed, we should see a $50 ounce. And I'm talking like by 2020, we could see a $50 ounce. And that, of course, would be great for us consumers, but also great for the country in general. These prohibitionists are slowly going to realize that all the problems they got with marijuana have to do with it being unnaturally expensive. The problems with marijuana have to do with its prohibition, not the plant itself. And the cheaper and more ubiquitous it gets, the fewer people can make profit dealing it outside the legal chain. And the less big a deal it becomes for kids and for anybody, really. It just becomes just another thing. Another no big deal sort of thing. And that's where we want to get it. The AP story was also talking about a couple of other considerations. Edibles and concentrates. Got to worry about the edibles and the concentrates. I think we've come up with a solution for that, folks, is proper packaging and labeling. Education that explains to us how to use these products. Because, I mean, a lot of people don't have a personal experience with edibles, don't have a personal experience with concentrates. And they don't know that, you can't eat the whole cookie. You got to start slower than that. And finally, they say, talking about keeping cultivation green. Well, look, one of the big problems I've got with marijuana legalization so far is this need to keep the plants hidden, like they're hardcore pornography or something, right? They got to be grown outside of public view. They got to be grown indoors. And all that does is force us to have to recreate the sun and the wind indoors. And that costs us a lot of money, and it costs the environment. Let's get over this idea that nobody dares see a cannabis plant, and then we can grow it outdoors and save the planet. How about that? Well, folks, that's all the time we got. Thanks for joining us here live at Delta 9 Studios in beautiful Eagle Potland, Oregon. For everyone here at CannabisRadio.com, I'm Radical Russ. Until next time, take care of each other, tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,